Hi everyone, it's me, VA Variety Amari here, and today I'm going to talk about an animated show, one of my favorite animated shows, to be exact. It's a show you probably definitely heard of. You know, you've seen memes, maybe you've seen clips on YouTube. It's South Park. Show was created by Trey Parker and Matt Stone. It aired in 1997 and still airing episodes today. The newest episode is the vaccination special. I think it came out in February or March when it was actually pretty good. And you're probably wondering right now, why is this 15-year-old talking about a show that's meant for 21-year-olds and over? But the reason I like it is because, well, you give a little background. Now that I've been a teenager, I like media that's more adult and that challenges my brain and is not talking down to me like I'm an idiot. You know what I mean? So I've watched a lot of South Park in recent years, and it's an hilarious show that has really great commentary. And yes, it is very vulgar and very violent, but it also has great commentary on a lot of the stupid stuff we do in America. And my favorite episode is a two-parter, and it's called You're Getting Old. And the second part is called, excuse my language, but this is an actual disease that's called Asperger's. And we'll get into the title of the next one, after I give the general synopsis. So the general synopsis is the main character, Stan, is turning 10 for his birthday. And one of his best friends, Kyle, gives him an album called Tween Wave. And of course, because his mother is older, she hears it as, well, I can't say the word, but basically garbage. And it literally sounds like someone is pooping in your ear. They literally just outright say it. And that is kind of supposed to be like a personification or a metaphor for, like, how older generation of people think that the new generation's music sounds like garbage, or the curse word, the S word. And I don't like new generation music either. What a shock, I guess. I don't know. Me being 15, you would think I would like it. But anyway, he gets home, Stan, and he decides to listen to it sneakily after his mother took it. And he starts hearing it, and then suddenly it sounds like people are pooping in his ear. He doesn't really understand it. So the next day he goes and he asks his friend Kyle, what does it sound like to you? And he says it sounds like Tween Wave. And he gets really confused because to him, all the old people stuff before sounded like garbage, but now the stuff he likes sounds like garbage along with the old stuff. So he decides to go to a doctor, and he it's some really funny scenes. He plays music and he shows an ad for the zookeeper and a picture of poop in a microwave about to be reheated. And he says, which one is the ad for the zookeeper? And he says they both look like poop about to be reheated. And he says, this one is the one for the zookeeper. This one is the picture of the poop about to be reheated. And he decides that Stan is a cynic. He says that as you turn into these specific ages, things that you used to think was cool now kind of sounds like garbage, and when you were younger, the stuff you like was cool, but the stuff that older people listen to is garbage. But now he's in the in-between, and this is supposed to represent, I think, teenagers, really, because a lot of teenagers nowadays, especially millennials and Gen Zs, we're very cynics. We're very cynical. I can say I'm cynical as well, which is why this episode relates to me, but we'll talk about that later. But he diagnoses him with cynicism. And all the while, there's a B plot with Stan's father, Randy Marsh. You've seen a lot of his stuff too. So he back in the day, he had dreams of being a rock star, and he's in denial about growing up. And because before in the show, he's always done stupid things like play Warcraft with his son, and he's always wanted to be young, but he hasn't yet to understand that he needs to grow up. So he decides to play this music at a bowling alley, a rundown bowling alley, and he literally farts in the microphone, and that's the music, which I think is supposed to be a metaphor for how the music sounds like trash. I don't think he's literally doing that, but he may be literally doing it. You could take it in many different ways. But this episode, this leads into one of the weirdest points of the show, because South Park has always been sort of, I forgot the term, but it's not a story. It's not a continuity-based show. It's episodic. It's very episodic. There have been some seasons where, especially the newer ones, but this was season 15, I want to say. So this was before they started doing the serialized stories. This is when they were still doing episodic stories. Sometimes they would have continuing arcs, but most of the time it would be very self-contained. Kenny dying, the famous, oh my God, they killed Kenny. And, he comes back in every episode. But this one, it's a very real argument between Stan's mom, Sharon Marsh, and his father, Randy. And they're talking about, she says, we always keep doing the same stuff, and it never really gets better. It always seems like it resets. And his father, she said first it was Warcraft, and you were yelling at baseball games, you weren't supporting your son, and Randy says, ever since he's turned 10, everything's been screwing up, and what does this have to do with our son? But he says, I've been unhappy for a long time. And she says she's been unhappy. And then this kicks into one of the saddest parts of the episode, where, it's a song called Landslide. I forgot the name of the artist. They may have mentioned it before, but it's a really good song. And it's Stan, his friend Kyle, Cartman, and Kenny. They've abandoned him because he keeps being negative about everything. They leave him, then his parents divorce, they separate, everything starts changing. And it's one of the saddest points in the series, because usually everything ends with a comedic ending, but now it's very, very bleak, and you don't really get a proper conclusion to it. And the one thing, just to wrap up this first episode, the reason I like this one, this is my personal favorite South Park episode, because it combines great comedy, great commentary, and great narrative. They have two plots, one about Stan. He wants everything to be the same, and Randy, he also wants everything to be the same, but in different reasons. Randy, the reason he wants everything to be the same is because he's having a midlife crisis. Stan's father, Randy, is definitely in his 40s, and he wants to go back to the points where he was, a rock star, and was young. And Stan, he wants to stay young and, have his friends and have his mom and dad together, even though, that's not how life works. Things move on, and, you have to learn to live with it. But of course he can't, which, leads in the next episode, obviously. But if I have to give this one a rating, which I like to do ratings now, I would definitely give it a 5 out of 5. It's a great episode. Go check it out if you can. It's on HBO MAX. It's called You're Getting Old. I believe it's season 15 of South Park. Yeah, it's on HBO Max. It's a really great episode. It has some great comedy. You've probably seen if you're older, you may have seen the scenes where they're at the movie theater and they keep talking about, it's funny. You just have to go see it. I don't want to ruin so many jokes for you, but it's a great mix of emotion, story, and comedy, all wrapped up in one great South Park episode. And it also has great commentary too, and how people refuse to grow, which is also leads in the next episode. So we'll talk about the next episode, and it's called Asperger's. And that's actually a real disease. It's Asperger's. But this episode, it takes it kind of in a literal sense. That's kind of the B plot. The A plot continues after Stan and his mom and his dad break up. So he has his radio on, and it plays something called Big Harry and Mike, and of course, it sounds like garbage to him because he's still a cynic. And the food, I forgot to mention this, things people say kind of sound like garbage to him. The things he eats literally looks like poop on a plate, and he's literally just clinically depressed. But of course, in South Park, everybody's blaming it on these vaccinations they gave out for Asperger's, a real disease. And so when he goes to school, they're all talking about the girls getting vaccinated for Asperger's disease. And Cartman, the fat kid, him. You probably heard of his most famous quotes. He literally stuffs burgers in his backside and tries to make millions of dollars because they said on the news that you get millions of dollars. And I forgot to mention this too. This is not a scripted video, as you can tell. Kyle and Cartman have always been enemies, but now they're sort of friends because of Stanley, which is also one of those things where negatives also have positives. But we'll get all into that at the ending. But these burgers are really good, and they start a company called Cartman Burger, and at the same time, Stan, he's going to this sort of AA meeting thing for people with Asperger's. And it turns out this is a parody of The Matrix. These people they don't have Asperger's, but they're just like Stan, and they're very cynical and cynics, and they all see the world as very bad, and the world sucks nowadays. You want to go back to that false life you were leading, and he was like, yeah, well, let's do that. And they decide to kind of do like The Matrix, but it's different. And this will lead to the ending as well. But they send Stan to a false reality, where, Adam Sandler movies are funny and, but you can obviously tell that he's drunk. Stan is drunk, and he's 10, of course, but he's drunk. And this will all lead into the ending. And he talks to Kyle, and he says, hey man, you're my best friend, but listen, there's aliens messing with our brainwaves, and you guys are living in the past. You guys are living like a false reality. And Kyle's like, dude, what are you talking about? No, this is just life now. And he says, I'm with Cartman Burger right now. He's like, Cartman Burger, seriously? But Kyle has moved on from Stan, because Stan, the overlying theme of this episode is about learning how to grow up and not stay in the past. And you have to learn that things do change in life, and you have to evolve from that. But Stan and Randy and these people that Stan is hanging out with don't want to do that, because they like their perfect little bubble world where everything is perfect all the time. Well, South Park perfect, because nothing's really perfect in South Park. But Kyle decides to leave him, and Stan is super bummed about it, and he goes back to the AA meeting. He throws up because what they used to put him in this false reality was this is a very adult topic, I know, whiskey. And it's very clever that they use whiskey to put him in this false state of reality instead of him facing. But once again, we'll talk about that at the end. So there's this other plot, a C plot, about because Cartman Burger is super big. They don't have to go to school because they're making like $100 off of these really great things, and they're running all the other companies out of business. This is where the real South Park plot comes in, where all these fast food companies are coming in, and they're like, how do we take down Cartman Burger? And this one guy's like, he's taking all of our stuff, Taco Bell, McDonald's, KFC, and he's putting it into one burger. And then there's this test machine that Cartman does where nobody can know the secret ingredient. And one guy at the thing, one of the guys who owns the restaurant, said it's like he's using some kind of gas chamber. You'll get that, a gas chamber to put all of our ingredients into one and to make a burger. So you'll see what that is when I talk about spoilers. So the last part of this episode. So if you don't want spoilers for this last part of the episode, because it's very funny, I suggest you watch the episode. I'll put a time code for the spoilers for this episode specifically in the description when I have a chance, when I do the editing and stuff. So if you don't want to hear spoilers, if you want to see this episode for yourself, which I do suggest you do, go down to the description below and click the I'll skip it. It'll skip you directly, I think, to the my verdict. And you know what? We're gonna talk about spoilers in 3, 2, 1. So they decide, Stan decides to go back into the false reality. The A people send him to infiltrate the people they believe to be the aliens, which are the fast food people. And the fast food people decide to send Stan to the Cartman Burger place to find out what's the big secret ingredient. And he talks to Kyle, but Kyle, he doesn't really even know the secret ingredient. He says, dude, I don't know the secret ingredient. You're just trying to set everything back again, aren't you? You just wanted me to come back with you and have things be the old times. I told you, Stan, this is not how it's going to work. But little does Kyle know that they have a gun pointed to Stan's head and they're going to blow his brains out if they don't tell it. But the AA people come, they defeat the bad guys, and they try to give Stan more whiskey. But finally, at the end, Stan says, "No, we are not doing this. This is just a false reality. You guys want to believe in this false reality, but you don't want to live your actual life." And he says, "I have to learn that life goes on, and I need to find new people to hang out with. Even though I'm a cynic, I still need to find a way to live the best life that I can. Maybe I can't hang out with Cartman, Kyle, and Kenny, but I can hang out with new kids around the neighborhood." But this is when another sad part comes in. It's sort of sad, but not really. That's why I love this ending so much. Randy decides to get back together with Sharon Marsh, his parents, and everything goes back to the status quo. And they play Landslide again, this really sad song. And this time, you understand that this is another sad part. Even though he got what he wanted, he got the status quo back at the cost of him not being able to move on with his life. So he's back together with his girlfriend. Everybody, the big twist, if you didn't guess by the title, Asperger's, Cartman put the burgers in his butt and served it to the actual people. And Kyle and him start butting heads again, and his family is back together. His dad is still immature as ever. And the last part of this episode is hilarious and sad at the same time. So his friends come and they say, "Hey, the new Zoolander movie came out. Zookeeper movie. Sorry, I said Zoolander. It's Zookeeper with Kevin James. Those really bad movies. Zookeeper with Kevin James, the second one." And he was like, "All right, man, I'm coming." He just woke up, and you see him going to his dresser. He pulls out a bottle of whiskey, and he pours it in the cup, and he drinks it. And what this is implying is that in order for him to live his false life, he has to drink that. He knows that this isn't the right life. This is just something that whiskey is doing to him, and he's not gonna grow up, but he just wants his normal life back. He's so desperate for that he'll take that extreme measures to do it. And it's sad, but it's still hilarious, which I think this two-parter does really, really well. And that's the end of the episode. He just walks away, and everything goes back to the same South Park status quo. And that's the two-parter You're Getting Old and Asperger's, which I think are two great episodes of South Park that not only have great commentary and comedy, but a great narrative between all this great stuff. But the part I wanted to talk about before, the reason I made this video is because it is subtle, but when you see the people are standing there hanging out with the AA guys, they're all people who are around his dad's age. They're in their 40s, and they're having a midlife crisis. You can tell that they're all 40. None of them look young. They all have wrinkles, a little bit of just subtle details, and they all want to believe that they're in this false life, but they want to stay. It's weird. They don't want to go along in life. They want to believe that there's forces at work that are trying to stop them, and that's why they're all cynical, because they know more than the average person. But to be honest, they're just like Stan. They're cynical. They don't want to live their life. They want to stay in their little bubble, like I mentioned earlier. And that's why I made this video, is because I noticed that when I watched the episode today, I was like, these people are in their 40s. This is supposed to be saying something about how sometimes you have people who don't want to move on in life. And that's so clever. That's so clever. Because that is a real thing in life. People don't want to evolve and go to new places. They want to stay in their little comfort bubble of life. I was sad when I moved, but I'm here in California now, and I'm happy. I'm really happy to be here. Of course, I miss my family, I miss my friends, but I'm gonna make new friends out here. I still have my old friends, but I'm gonna make new friends. And you have to learn to accept life changes, and sometimes they can be for the better. But those people in the episode, they didn't want to take that chance. They didn't want to move on with their lives. They wanted to stay in their little bubble where everything was perfect. But that's just not how life is. Life will go on without you. Life isn't gonna stop for you to adjust yourself. You just have to keep moving, because it's endless. It's infinity, really. You know, you could either make your mark on this world or just be forgotten, like those people, and potentially maybe even stand if he continues to do what he's doing. But it's very potent. It's very thought provoking when you really think about the existential type deal of it. Or you could just look at it as a silly comedy episode where they talk about him, listening to garbage, literally he eats poop on the plate because that's what he personifies as just, ugh. But another reason why, of course, this is not scripted. I'm so sorry. I keep jumping around to different points. But the last reason why this really connected to me is because lately, I have definitely been very cynical. And ever since I turned like 13, my taste buds have been changing. Some of the stuff I liked on YouTube and TV, I don't like anymore. And I'm like, yeah, you can, if you're like around my age, like 15, you can really definitely like, if you're a teenager, you can definitely relate to what the main character Stan is going through, because he's definitely the audience surrogate character. He's the surrogate character that is supposed to lead you into this. And you're supposed to put yourself in his shoes, as the protagonist. And you're like, yeah, I agree with this. Because when you get to this age, you start to realize that life isn't the same as what it used to be with all Tooth Fairy and Santa Claus and, bad and good. Sometimes the people you thought were good are bad, and sometimes the people you thought were bad aren't as bad as you thought they were, And that's what I love. The South Park is a show where you can look at the comedy and really laugh, but you can also look at the nuance and the commentary in the episode and really think about it. You could really think hard about like, hey, wow, yeah, this isn't as, black or white as I thought it was. So I'm going to continue doing these videos. I really like South Park as a show. I'm going to have to do these videos if I'm by myself like this, because this is the perfect time for me to do these videos where I can have the great lighting, the great table. So you might not see these videos every day or every week. I'm sorry about that. I do want to actually make these videos. I know I haven't been consistent at all with upload schedules, but these are the videos I thought of today. I'm like, you know what? I should take time to do an animation thing. So this is going to be a new series once again, but I think I'm actually going to try to follow through with this. This is going to be animation talks. Each episode will have something to say, that animation, like the Lego movie, or especially South Park. We're definitely going to talk about more about South Park episodes because there's a lot about bullying and, censorship. And it's a lot. I want to talk about all this stuff. It's going to be great. But if you want to see more of this stuff, which I definitely do, put in the comments below. If you have a specific work of animation that you think really has something to say about life, or it's just really funny and you really like the story in it, put it in the comments, because I really want to get suggestions outside of my own. But I want to continue to do this, so please, if you can, put a like on this video, share it with people, because I thought about this really hard. I had notes, but I didn't want to, look at notes the whole time. But I'm really into English and stuff, so that's why I did this nice little video, kind of a video essay, but not really an essay. But it's just something I'm really passionate about, South Park and, writing and just putting my whole theme and thesis together. It's this whole thing, but I really enjoyed doing this. I'm definitely going to do more. The next part will be another South Park episode. The next 2 parts I do will probably be South Park episodes. And I'll probably do maybe the Lego movie and some episodes of other shows that I really do like. But if you have suggestions, if you do have suggestions, please put them in the comments, because I would love to know like what shows you grew up with, or pieces of animation, either if it's adult or shows made for kids and teens that you think have really good messages in them and you want to see me talk about. But I know this has been really rambly. But thank you for watching, and stay decent.